If you've been at the same company for more than 5 years, you might be underpaid by 20 to 40%. Not because you're bad at your job, not because your boss doesn't like you, but because you stayed. In 2026, loyalty is no longer rewarded. It's exploited. This isn't about a recession, quiet layoffs, or toxic managers. This is about something much quieter and much more expensive. Stay with me for the next 16 minutes. You'll understand how the corporate system underpays loyal employees and what you can do about it. Hey, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm glad you found this video. This channel helps you understand the financial game being played around you, so you can make smarter decisions with your career and your money. Today's topic hits close to home for many, including me. Nobody tells you this in school or when you're hired. Most don't figure it out until their 30s or 40s, wondering why they feel stuck, why their paycheck doesn't reflect years of hard work. Let's fix that right now. To understand what's happening today, we need to go back. From 1950 through the late 1980s, there was a deal. It was unwritten, but everybody understood it. You gave a company your loyalty, your time, your best years, and in return, that company took care of you. That meant a defined benefit pension, a guaranteed monthly check for life. It meant real job security. You didn't get let go because an executive wanted to cut costs or hit a quarterly number. And it meant steady, reliable raises, usually tied to your tenure. The longer you stayed, the more you made, the more the company invested in you. Think about your grandparents or parents. They worked for one or two companies their entire career. When they retired, they had a pension, healthcare, stability, a life funded by decades of loyalty. The company honored. That was the deal. Loyalty in exchange for security. And for a generation, it worked. Now, here's the question nobody asked. What happens if one side of that deal quietly changes and nobody tells the other side? Because that's exactly what happened. Starting in the 1980s, accelerating through the 90s and 2000s, corporations rewrote the deal. Defined benefit pensions were replaced with 401. Okay? Sounds like an upgrade. Until you realize it shifted all investment risk onto you. Job security? Here's how it works inside most large and mid-size American companies today. When HR sets the annual budget for raises, they're working with a pool. That pool is usually between 2% and 5% of total payroll. That's the ceiling. That's what leadership approved. Now, divide that across every single employee, account for performance, tenure, title. Your individual raise lands between 2 and 4%. Maybe 5 if you had an exceptional year. 2 to 4%. In a year where inflation ran at 4, 5, sometimes 6%. You didn't get a raise, you got a pay cut. A quiet one. One that doesn't show up in any memo. Nobody sends you an email saying, "Congratulations, your purchasing power just went down." But it did, silently, every year. Compounding in the wrong direction. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When that same company needs to hire someone from outside, someone new, someone they don't already have on payroll. They don't go to HR and ask for a 3% budget increase. They go to the market, they benchmark competitors, they post a job at whatever rate it takes to attract talent. And that rate, that market rate, is often 20, 30, sometimes 40% more than what they're currently paying existing employees for the exact same role. Let me say that again, because it needs to land properly. Companies regularly pay new hires significantly more than loyal employees who are already doing the same job. And this isn't a mistake. This isn't HR being careless. This is a structural outcome. When it comes to existing employees, companies have leverage. You're already there, already trained. Switching has friction. But with outside candidates, the company has to compete. So market discipline only applies externally. Internally, the system optimizes for cost. There is a name for this, and I want you to remember it. Because once you hear it, you're going to see it everywhere. It's called the loyalty discount. The loyalty discount is the gap between what you're currently being paid as a long-term employee and what the open market would pay you. If you walked into an interview tomorrow, it's invisible, it's polite, it accumulates quietly. And for most people, it compounds for years, sometimes decades before they ever realize it's happening to them. Now, I want to show you the actual financial damage, because this isn't just about your paycheck this month. This is about the trajectory of your entire financial life. Your retirement, your savings, your ability to build real wealth. And the math here is eye-opening. Let's look at two people. Both are 30 years old. Both are earning $75,000 a year. Same role, same city, same industry, same skills, coming out of the gate. Let's call them Alex and Jordan. Alex stays at the same company. Alex is loyal, reliable, a good employee. Every year, Alex gets a 3% raise. The manager likes Alex. The performance reviews are solid, but Alex stays. Year after year, comfortable, familiar, safe. Jordan is different. Jordan switches companies every 2 to 3 years. Every time Jordan moves, Jordan negotiates hard and lands a 20 to 25% salary increase with each move. Jordan is uncomfortable sometimes. The interviews, the new environments, having to prove yourself all over again. It's not easy. But Jordan moves. Now, fast forward 15 years. Both Alex and Jordan are 45 years old. Alex, our loyal, hardworking, dependable employee, is now earning around $116,000. That sounds decent, right? 15 years of steady 3% raises. That feels like progress. Jordan is earning somewhere between $220,000 and $240,000. Same industry, same type of role. Just different choices about when to move and when to negotiate. But here's the part that really hits. It's not just about the salary number. It's about what that salary difference does to everything else in your financial life. Jordan's 401k contributions are higher because they're a percentage of a much bigger base number. Jordan's ability to pay off a mortgage faster. Jordan's capacity to max out investment accounts, build an emergency fund, handle unexpected expenses without going into debt. All of it compounds at a fundamentally different rate. Over 15 years, the total wealth difference between Alex and Jordan, accounting for savings, investments, and compounding returns, could easily exceed $500,000. Some financial models put it closer to $1 million, depending on investment strategy and market returns. $500,000 of hidden cost for the act of staying. For being the kind of person companies say they want: loyal, committed, long tenured, but don't actually compensate at market value. And here's what I really need you to hear. This is not about working harder. Alex didn't slack off. Alex didn't do a bad job. This is entirely about understanding how the system prices loyalty and making a deliberate, informed choice rather than a passive one. So, if the math is this clear, if the numbers tell such an obvious story, why do most people stay? Why do so many intelligent, capable professionals keep renewing an agreement that consistently undervalues them? Because leaving is genuinely terrifying, and staying is genuinely comfortable. And your brain is wired to prefer known discomfort over unknown possibility. Think about the real reasons people don't leave, even when they sense something is off. It's not stupidity. It's deeply human psychology. There's comfort. You know your role. You know your team. You know the rhythms of the week, the quirks of the system, the unwritten rules of the office. Changing jobs means disrupting all of that, and that disruption costs real emotional energy. There's the fear of interviews. Most people who've been in one place for 5 or 6 years haven't sat in an interview chair in a long time. The idea of being evaluated by a stranger, of having to sell yourself from scratch, of potentially being rejected, that's genuinely anxiety-inducing. What if you're not as good as you think you are? What if the market doesn't value you the way you hope? There's identity attachment. After 5 or 6 years somewhere, the company becomes part of who you are. You've built relationships. You've been promoted once or twice. You've become the person who knows how things work here, the go-to for institutional knowledge. Leaving means releasing an identity you've spent years building. That's emotionally costly, in a way that doesn't show up in any financial model. And then there's the belief, maybe the most quietly damaging one of all, that loyalty will eventually be rewarded. They'll see what I'm worth eventually. I just need to keep doing great work and it'll be recognized. Maybe it will be, But the structure of most corporate compensation systems was never designed to close the gap between internal pay and market rate. That gap can keep growing year after year, even while your performance reviews stay excellent. That belief keeps millions of people in a financial holding pattern, waiting, hoping, while the loyalty discount silently compounds. So what do you actually do with this? Because information without action is just frustration. And this video isn't meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to give you a real strategic advantage. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Stop directing your loyalty at a company. Start directing it at your skills. Your skills are yours. They travel with you. They don't get acquired in a merger. They don't get eliminated in a restructure. They appreciate and value the more you develop them and the better you get at communicating their worth to the market. Step 1 is simple, but most people skip it. Know your market value right now. Not what your HR portal implies. Not what your manager tells you you're worth. Go look at active job postings today. Not because you're planning to leave, but because you need accurate data. What is the market paying for your exact role in your exact city in 2026? That number is your baseline, and it might surprise you. Step 2 is about building leverage. Even if you have no intention of leaving, let other companies see you occasionally. Take a recruiter call. Do an interview once a year just to stay sharp, to understand your positioning, to know concretely what your number is. You don't have to accept any offer, but the act of being in the market, even passively, changes how you carry yourself in your current role. And it gives you real information. Step 3 is having the compensation conversation at your current company, but armed with data instead of emotion. Not, I feel like I deserve more, or I've been here for 6 years and I think it's time. Instead, I've done some research and the market rate for this role in this market is X. I want to have a direct conversation about closing that gap. That's a business conversation. That's a professional asking for alignment with market reality. That lands very differently. And if your company says no or offers you a 3% counter when the gap is 25%, you now have real, unambiguous information about how they've chosen to value your loyalty. And that information is worth having. Because here's the truth that I'll leave you with. In this economy, the most loyal employee is often the lowest paid. That's not a criticism of loyalty as a human value. Loyalty matters in relationships, in friendships, in community. But loyalty directed at an institution that is structurally incentivized to minimize your compensation without leverage, without information, without strategy isn't noble. It's just expensive. You deserve to be paid what you're actually worth. And now you understand exactly why you might not be, and precisely what to do about it. If this video gave you something real to think about, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, how long have you been at your current company? And when was the last time you actually checked your market value? I read every comment. I'll see you in the next one.